Hey everyone, welcome back to Engine Craft Garage. Today we're finally working on this Ariens Snowblower. It's from the 70s, and I got it about 6 months ago at a yard sale for dirt cheap. I think it was 20 bucks. I don't know anything about it. They basically told me that it doesn't run. So we're gonna dive into this and see what's going on. All right, first I want to make sure that it's got compression. Yeah, it seems decent. Let's get this plug out and see exactly how much compression it actually has. I doubt this has a decompression valve. So should be looking at least 100. We have a newer plug on here. Let's check that. It's E3 plug. Doesn't look too bad. I've never really used these E3 plugs. Some people love them. Some people hate them. They're very mixed as far as people's opinion on them. But let's get the compression tester in here. This being from the 70s, it's probably pretty worn out. All right, let's give it like 3 or 4 pulls. It might have decompression, because if it doesn't have decompression, that is not good. A little over 50 psi. Next, we're going to check to see if we got spark. Touching the case, we might be able to see that. Turn the key on. Oh yeah. Yeah, we got spark. Perfect. I don't know if you guys can see down in there. It looks pretty bad. So first thing we're going to do is probably dig into this carburetor. The one thing I'm happy about is this has a plastic tank, so I'm not too concerned about finding a lot of corrosion in there. The gas, whew, it smells old. Here is the fuel line right here. This is definitely going to have to be replaced. It looks original just by the way that it's painted, and it's still pretty pliable. It's just, it is badly cracking. It feels like it can pop a hole at any point. So, all right, let's start taking some of these covers off so we can get to the carburetor. And then I might have to look at the valves and the cylinder to see why we got low compression. All right, let's get this cover off. It's a very tiny screw here. Is there any in the back? Nope. Just one in the front here, which is actually, looks like a new screw. Just come off. Yep. All right, let's get my, if you guys don't have one of these magnetic bowls, I highly suggest you get one, because they just make everything easy. I think they're at Harbor Freight for just a couple bucks. All right. Actually, Let's check the engine oil. Totally forgot to do that. It's a dipstick. It's not too bad. It's up to the full mark. You can see it's kind of dark, but not too bad. Good enough to run with. Any oil's better than no oil. Looks like a self tap, and it is. All right, let's get this off here. Doesn't look awful. Also doesn't look great. So the fuel line was painted over there. Over here, it's not. I'm probably still gonna just replace the whole thing. Let's get this exhaust off here. Get it out of the way. Ooh, she is rusty. Oh, there's another bolt up here. That really does not want to go. I have to get the carburetor out of the way first. Let me first pinch that gas line off. So, my other videos I was talking about, I used vice grips to pinch off hose line, and you're not supposed to do that because you can puncture holes. These are on Amazon. They're super cheap. These are specifically meant to pinch off fuel lines because this is all rounded in here. So you just pinch it on, then pull this back, and that should keep you from puncturing through the gas line, and you won't spill any fuel anywhere. You know what they say, right tool for the job. Let's break this off. Let's get a little bowl to catch this fuel. Care too much about this line. Probably going to be replacing it anyways. Yeah, it's got quite a few. Yeah, it's already cracked. It's all weather checked, and I don't know, this fuel line shut off is working really, really well. It's not. Let me go grab another one. Hopefully that one works. Just stay there. Since I'm not going to be using this fuel line anymore, this gas just smells putrid. Right, hold on, I'm going to have to tighten this more. There we go. Oh, what a pain. Anyways, let's get this carburetor off. These are bolts that just hold on this little... During the winter, there's not really any dust or anything, so there's no reason for an air filter. So they just have like something to prevent large things from flying in there. All right, how do we get in here? Not very easily by the looks of it. This gasket looks shot. This thing is crusty. All right, so it looks like it's probably a 10 millimeter. Well, how do you get in here? Oh, I can get that one. There's one of the nuts. How did I get this guy? I get it with a finger? There we go. Make sure we find that. All right. So here is for the throttle and a spring, throttle return spring. Here, get the spring off. Come on. There we go. Here's that. Let's get that out of the way. And this is for the governor. Here's the carburetor. Doesn't look too bad. Gasket on here is quite thick. Get that out of the way. All right, let's see if we can get this muffler off here. This thing is really stuck on there. Let's get the handy dandy impact on this. So if you guys haven't seen one of these tools before, basically it has rotation on it. And what happens is when you put this on here and hit the hammer, it will press in the way that you're turning. So for like really stuck and stubborn things, if you hit this, the spring action will force it to turn while forcing itself in. So they're really good at getting stuck bolts out. Well, number one, that gasket is it's toasted. We're just gonna remove that guy. But look at this. That looks awful. Anyways, let's get the rest of this crusty gasket on here. I could use some silicone on here maybe, and that would help seal. It's just, I don't know if the right stuff is all that temperature resistant. This right here is where the valves are. So let's go look in there. Let's pop this case open. A little love tap. There we go. This acts as a breather too. Hence why this hose is in here. All right, I got a light in here so we can see better. You know, looks pretty typical. A little bit of oil in there. I don't know what the clearances are supposed to be in here, but we can just check them out. Get this oil out of here. Not really too concerned with this gasket. None of this is under pressure, so I can't see if the cylinder is top dead center. The piston is actually over here, and the valves are over here. So the spark plug actually ignites over the valves. So if you see in here, oh, you guys can't see nothing. If you look in here, all right, get it out of the way. See if I can focus you guys in here. Right there. That is one of the valves. And when I pull this, you'll be able to see it move. And that's where the spark plug goes. So I won't know if this is at top dead center or not. I'll have to watch the valves. Or watch when one opens, and that means the other one is closed. So what we're going to do here, shine a light on this. So if that one is pushing, that means this one should be fully closed. Yeah, I can fit 5 thousandths in there. Let's see if I can fit 6. I mean, the adjustment on these are probably, I don't know the exact one, but they're probably between like 5 and 10 thousandths. So I can fit a 6 in there with a little bit of drag on the exhaust. See if I can fit a 7. 7 thou. I can barely fit a 7 in there. So that's probably pretty good. All right, we're gonna wait for the exhaust to go up. There we go. All right, let's see if we can fit a 7 in there. Intake's probably gonna be a little bit tighter. Exhaust is usually a little bit looser. I cannot fit a 7. Should be able to fit a 6 because felt a little bit of give there. Yep, 6. So we're both at about 6-7 thousandths. That's not too bad considering this machine is super old. All right, so let's pop these covers off top. I want to get a look in the actual cylinder itself. Yeah, I want to get a look in the cylinder top end itself and see what's going on there. But first, I'm going to close up this valve cover. About as clean as it's going to get. This is one lawnmower or not lawnmower, snowblower that I'm going to be keeping just because it's 2-stage and it's a 6 horsepower and it should be more than enough to get the job done around my house. Go. We'll plop the screws back in. Other one. All right, so I'm good with the valves. Vent there. You guys didn't know on these older snowblowers, the oil drain plugs or the oil fill is here, but on 90% of them, there's going to be a little tube here to drain the oil. This one has a nice little extension. Some of them just have a plug here. This one has a nice extension, so you can put like a funnel underneath it and actually drain it properly, which is nice. All right, from here, like I said, we're going to get a look at the top end. So let's get my impact and start zipping those off. Try to get some of these out. All right, so just be mindful when taking these out. Sometimes they use different lengths. Same length, same length. I mean, not always, but sometimes. Same length. You really should replace head bolts when you can, but if you can't, because what happens when you put a lot of torque on these bolts stretch, and like in cars, you really can't reuse head bolts. But all right, so what am I looking at here to get this off? Right, that the gas tank is off. Drain that a little bit later. Looks like I can take that plate off. And then, oh, looks like the head just wants to slide right out. Okay, so I guess that's that. Honestly, does not look too bad in there. This gasket still looks good. Here's the cylinder head. Not too shabby. Now let's get a good look inside here. This has absolutely zero cross hatching left. There's no ridges or anything, but There's no cross hatching left. So I'm gonna run a little hone through there. Giving this quick little hone can't hurt nothing. Let's spray all these pieces with WD-40. All the honing stones. Just, you know, give a little bit of something. Don't look too bad. Get a little bit of rid of a little bit of the glazing on the cylinder. Let's pull this up. Oh yeah, there's a little bit of cross hatching in there. Ideally, this is not the way you want to do this. I'm just doing this because this thing is old, and I don't really know if it's gonna run. I mean, it's the reason I'm breaking into it right like this is because it's got low compression. So it's either one of the valves are bad, or the piston rings are bad. And what we could do is a leak down test. But for right now, I just want to see what I can do to get this thing to just even fire off. So all this doesn't look too bad. Top of this piston is surprisingly clean, like very clean. Like I am in shock how clean it is. Usually they look like the valves. As far as this goes, I mean, it's really not bad. Probably just give it a quick spritz. Look at that. Somebody's definitely been in here before. Clean this. Well, that stuff just wiped right off. Yeah, you can see all the marks. Somebody's definitely been in here before. How long ago? I don't know, but at some point, yeah, I'm good with that. So where's that head gasket? Pop this head gasket back on. I believe this slid under. Let's say we just shoot a little bit of fuel down here and see if this thing will pop off for a second. I doubt there's any change in compression. If there was, I'd be absolutely shocked. Yeah, that's probably a little too much, but whatever. Are you gonna run? Oh. A little bit something. Sounded like it wanted to. Let's try that again. There you go. There's plenty. I did see fire shoot out the exhaust, so I mean, there's something going on. Okay, let's see now. To run. I mean, something's happening. So let's get this fuel drained, and actually, yeah, while this fuel drains, should go ahead and clean that carburetor. So this clamp off here. Take this clamp off here. And I just let her free flow here. If I take this cap off, it'll flow faster. Yeah, a little bit. I know you guys can't smell this, because if you could, it's putrid. It is terrible smelling gas. All right. if we can get this hose clamp off. But like I said, this is a plastic tank, so no corrosion. Let me get my flashlight so you guys can kind of see in there. Ah. There we go. See? That is a clean tank. Very clean. Very nice. All right, let's get the carburetor over to the bench and see what's going on in this. Let's get my handy dandy tiny crescent that I use for just about everything. For reasons I don't know why. So this is nice. Down here you can adjust the main jet, and the reason this is nice is because when the air gets colder, so say you're snowblowing at 32 degrees, you can adjust this so this runs right. But if it drops down to like -5, it's going to run different because of the temperature. Air condenses, it condenses when it gets cold. So when you're running an engine, when it's colder outside, your engine, for most modern cars, you have a computer that regulates your air-fuel ratio. On these older engines with carburetors, when the air gets colder and it condenses, the engine's getting more air and less fuel, so you're going to have to richen it up. It's the same thing with like elevation. If you go up in elevation, the air thins out, so then whatever you're running starts running way too rich, and you got to lean it out. It's kind of this. Well, it's not really the same concept because one's air temperature and one is elevation. But essentially, like right now during the summer or late summer, it's not going to run the same as it would in winter, because in summer, oh yeah, there's some chunky bits in there. In the summer, the air is thinner. Let's see if I can get this gasket off here without tearing it. You know how good I am at that. All right, perfect. Let's get this pin out. The float bowl. Here is it's got a little rubber bit on the needle. See, it looks good. This doesn't look too bad. So yeah, this idles the main jet, or this regulates the main jet. But what's interesting is this also has an air-fuel ratio screw here. So I don't know why you'd adjust here and then also at the bottom, maybe for idle speed. And then this one is for, this one's for idle, but it doesn't, it barely looks like it's even working. But either way, we're going to get this over to the ultrasonic and give this a good clean out. I don't know what that gunk is at the bottom, but the ultrasonic should clean that right out. And then this as well, if I can get this, there we go. Just want to get this little washer off, because I don't know if the ultrasonic does damage to it or not. So let's get all this stuff in there and get it cleaned up. There goes the float. Make sure all that's covered. Let that cook for about 15-20 minutes-ish. Can't put the lid on because this choke is so long. All right, so while that's, let's go ahead and replace this fuel line. This is what's called Tygon line. It's what's used in small engines like lawnmowers, chainsaws, and stuff like that. This stuff is really good because it's UV resistant and it's ethanol resistant, so it's much less likely to get weather checked and crack and stuff like that, like this old line. Now, this line is only good for non-pressurized fuel systems, like small engines, basically gravity fed, or like a small engine that's got a diaphragm that's pumping. This stuff is going to be good for stuff like that. Obviously, for automotive and things like that, you can't use this because it's just not strong enough for that. But for this application, it'll work great. And I do like this line as well because you can see when fuel is flowing. So let's go button this bottom end up. Everybody knows how I feel about these gear clamps, or worm clamps, whatever you want to call them. I'm not a big fan because they can loosen up over time, or if this loosens up, these don't hold constant tension. They hold tension to where you have it tightened, but they can loosen up over time with vibrations and stuff like that. A lot of people have never had issues with them. I personally just don't like them. I prefer this style of clip because they're a pain, but they keep constant tension all the time when they're on. So let's go. Oh, I'm just losing everything. Another thing that I see that I don't like is this is the electric start, which I don't know if it works or not. So before we put this fuel system back together, this is all twisted, and I'm not a big fan of that. It looks like at some point this was mounted somewhere else. Maybe here? There's some holes here. I don't know. Looks like they just drilled some holes and screwed these into them to hold this here. It's not a bad spot, but it looks like it might have went here. I can't really see anywhere else it would have been. That's for the fuel line. All right, let's take this off and get this untwisted. T27. I have a good feeling about this starting, and hopefully I'm not doing all this work for nothing. You gotta be kidding me. This one is Star or Torx, whatever you want to call it, and that one's Phillips. Why would you do that? All right, let's unwind this. Is that better? How does this want to lay? It wants to lay like that, probably because it's been so long. Did this go here? No, it couldn't have. Well, could have went like that, maybe. The holes line up. Could have been there. Let's kind of straighten this out. I mean, I really don't like this hanging up like that. Hanging out like that. I guess that is the best way of going about it. Does this get in the way of this? Yeah. Well, it looks a little crusty. Spray all that down. Jeez. Okay. Well, I guess. I don't know. Let's put the tank on first and see how it lays. Oh, well, after fighting with this again, I got that through. So that's on there good. The ultrasonic stopped. You can probably hear that. Gloves say 3 times more puncture resistant. But if you flex your hand the wrong way, you no longer have a glove. let's just get these on, and then I'm gonna go grab the stuff out of the ultrasonic. All right, so we're back. That cleaned up good. Leave. Yep. No more gunk in there. Perfectly clean. Float. Always give float a good shake to make sure nothing's getting in there. And then that's cleaned up beautifully as well. But I do want to blow this off with the air compressor. All right, brand new. A few people have asked me what I use for ultrasonic cleaner. I use two different things. I usually either use water and engine degreaser, or what I've been using a lot lately is just Berryman's Carb Clean. I believe it's either that or it's Gunk Carb Clean. It's one of the two. Or it's Berryman's Chem Dip, I actually think it is. And the only thing about the Chem Dip and stuff like that, it can be kind of harsh on seals and stuff like that. So I wouldn't leave it. If you do use it, I wouldn't leave it in there for extended periods of time, because I don't know how well it holds up against rubber and stuff like that. Oh, these gloves. You know how it is. You take your gloves off, your hands are sweaty, and then trying to get back on, they just they don't want to work. So that just slides on here. See, this is a plastic float. This is an example of a plastic float that does have float adjustment because it's got that little metal tang there. A lot of them just are plastic molded, and you can't do anything if you need to adjust the float. This one has a rubber tip on it, which usually means that there's no seal inside here. If you've watched my previous videos, I've blown a seal out of this and then I had to replace it. Usually if it's got a metal tip, there's a seal in here. And if there's no seal in here, it's usually a rubber tip. At least from what I have seen. Come on. You don't want to go in? There we go. All right. You know what we do here? Grab an extra piece of tubing, gas line, whatever you want to use. Put it on here and hold it this way. Yep, can blow through it. And if you flop it the other way, can't blow through it. So that means that the needle and the seat are working correctly. Now, a lot of times you'll see a bowl like this. That's got the detent. The popped out part or the raised part is always going to go where the float moves to. So say how this moves, that's the pivot point. It's going to go opposite of the pivot point. So see the flat here, and then the round, this back end moves up. So the raised part's going to go towards the back end there, like that. So that float can extend all the way down in this portion. It doesn't, but that's the way they're designed. So let's get this seal on here. Hopefully it's still good. I would assume so. It feels pretty good. And last but not least, so like I'm showing here, get you a little bit closer. Line it up just like that. Get this little gasket over the float bowl screw / fuel adjustment. That guy down. Nice and tight there. All right, just the choke. That looks good. Let's do this again. Make sure everything's working, functioning properly still. Flow, upside down. Nothing. My gas thing is over there. Usually I'll fill this up and see if there's any leaks, but I think we're pretty good. Because the reason I do a leak test usually is because when fuel's in a tank and the pressure of the fuel in the tank when it's coming down the fuel line is usually like 1 to 2 psi, if that. And that pressure, if this is not sealed correctly or sealed good, it will cause it to overflow or leak out of the fuel bowl, float bowl. So let's go get this back on, and then we can start buttoning up some other stuff as well. So this is all the indications of a system that is going to run. The only thing that makes me nervous, that I have said before, is the compression, because I don't know if this has a decompression in it, causing it to have low compression like that. I mean, it was only at like 50 something psi, so it's a little worrisome. Let's actually get the drill over here, lightly clean up this surface. Sure. All right, that looks good. For this gasket, because I don't have another one, I'm going to be using the Right Stuff 1 minute return to service black gasket maker. This stuff is absolutely fantastic. And it says operating range up to 450 degrees continuous. This should probably get between 300 and 400 degrees. This should be enough, or this should be good enough to seal that. At least I hope so. So let's get a little smear on here. Oh, that is too much. Yeah. The only thing, I don't buy this very often because this is expensive. This tube right here, what is it, 7.5 ounces. It's a nice can, but this is like 20 something bucks. But it does say that you could do 15 to 24 cylinder valve cover gaskets. So this, there should be quite a lot in here to get you to do, especially with small engines like this that I do. That is, that's a lot. All right, let's actually clean up this surface as well. There goes the glove, puncture resistant, yeah, sure. It's always fun shooting sparks, and there's a, you know, a little open thing of gas down here. All right, so this goes on like this. This broken, busted screw type deal is, we'll go back on, sure. If I can get it on. And this one went in down here. Let's get that one on as well. Okay. Try to get this one in as far as I can get it. Ah, that's pretty tight. Right, this one. That's not going nowhere. Okay. So what is it? Carburetor time. So that is that. The choke went out this way, inlet Yep. I am going to put a little bit of gasket maker on this because I don't know. It feels okay. I just don't know how I feel about it. So we're just going to put just a dab on here. The thing about this is you can just press this trigger. There we go. Just a little bit, you know, a little bit goes a long way. All right, so this went in here like that. Oh yeah, getting in here is gonna be just lovely. Oh no. Come on. Why you gotta make this so difficult? That is finished. Let's hook up this fuel line. Where is... I swear I just lose everything. All right, let's get this fuel line on. Oh, that's just wonderful. Sure do have a different clamp. Not desired, but it'll do for now. Once this gets running, I'll replace this. Remember, always cut these on the angle so the next guy can find these. I'm just kidding. Never cut these on an angle. And I did exactly what I told you not to do. There we go. We got this little guy that goes on here. So let's get that guy on. I'm going to wait to put this cover on until we hear this run, because there's no sense in that. All right, let's get some fresh fuel in here. Fresh fuel. Sure, fill it right up to the top. So if we have issues, I can drain all that out. The fuel that I pulled out of here is cloudy. If there is water in it, you'll be able to tell because, oh, yep. There's water in it. So here, I'll show you. See that bottom part that's moving? Well, let me drain some of this out. So it's not leaking all over me. There you go. You can see it. Water is heavier than gas. So that bottom part, it's all water sitting in there. Not ideal. So there's definitely moisture in this fuel. It's definitely been sitting for a little while. And that could cause it to run terribly. Do have to button up this this electric start over here. I don't know if it works, but I'd like to at least have it figured out. So with the gas tank there, I guess this is, I mean, I thought it was all twisted up, but I guess this is the best way to go about doing this. Spin this through here. Make sure this lines up. Oh yeah. Here. And there. Swap this out. Seems good enough to me. So the couple things that we have to do here up front in the auger is one, there's a couple of grease fittings. You can see one here, and then there's one on the bottom side here. There's also gearbox oil. So we're going to replace those. Another good thing that you should check is right down here, this gap between the scraper blade and the cement. This is too low. It's going to get caught and drag on everything. This one actually looks pretty decent. You want this about the width of, I don't know, like a paint stick. Probably like an 1/8 to 1/4, probably a little less than 1/4 inch. This one's a little high. To adjust these, you unbolt the, you put what you want as an adjustment under there. Like I said, if you have paint sticks, you put them under here, adjust these down so they touch the ground, and then your adjustment should be all set. So there's 2 bolts on this here. You can see the one down here, that's the drain, and that's the fill. So let me go grab another pair of gloves. Don't know exactly how much gear oil is supposed to go in here. Well, we're gonna find out. Again, my mini crescent wrench comes in handy. Just crack this free. This gear oil usually lasts a long time because it doesn't, I mean, it gets use, but it's not like a crazy amount of use. Oh, yeah, it's pretty dark. Not too bad, but this is the fill plug up top. So once this is done draining, we're going to fill it from the top hole here. Once it starts coming out here, it should be filled. Works just like a differential, I would assume. All right, it didn't take that much, unless it was just kind of low. That one's not magnetic. I don't think that one is either. All right. That looks pretty good. Let's get this bottom drain plug back on. It was just kind of low. I don't know what the specification for this gear oil is, but I'm just gonna put in some like 80, 90 or something. I can't remember what it was that I got. Anyways, the gear oil I'm using is leftover. I did the differential on my truck, and this is AMSOIL. Oh, let me show you the old oil. Yeah, it's pretty dark. This is AMSOIL Severe Gear. I used it in the differential of my truck. So I have been asked about my opinion on different oils, and my opinion is any new oil with frequent changes is better than used oil. I use AMSOIL personally in my own personal vehicle because every single test that I've ever seen online of AMSOIL, there's something in this line, so let me get that out first, of AMSOIL always comes out on top. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of other oil brands that are fantastic too. Pennzoil, Valvoline, they're all great oils. AMSOIL I know is a little bit more expensive, but it's what I prefer to use in my vehicle. And like I said, all the oils out there nowadays are great, and any oil is going to do a far better job than used oil. Even in the conventionals nowadays, all the oils that are out nowadays are going to protect your vehicle way better. Now, the oil change interval just might change. So, you know, if you go to Walmart and buy SuperTech, you probably want to change your oil, you know. They say on the newer vehicles, the oil change interval is about 7,500 miles. So maybe do it at 5,000. Now, if you go with a premium oil, like AMSOIL claims that you can go, I think their Signature Series claims that you can go 25,000. Now, I would never do that, absolutely, ever. But I claim you can. I use it in my truck. I use AMSOIL for everything. My truck uses 0 weight 20, which I think is just a ridiculously light oil. And I use their AMSOIL filter as well. Now, in this stuff, this is what I've been using lately in all of my engines. They have some pretty wild claims on this stuff, and I want to see if it's true. Other than that, I use Valvoline Ultra Platinum. That's also a really great oil. But like I said, they're all good. Let's get that tightened up. All right, that's changed. The last thing we got to do here is there is actually 4 Zerk fittings here, so we're going to get those all greased up as well. There's one. Oh, it's already leaking out here of the shear bolt. That's 1, 2. All right. And if you didn't know what these shear bolts are for, a lot of snowblowers have extra ones that are on there. These shear bolts are so if you hit this auger, it doesn't destroy your gearbox. These bolts are meant to shear, so if you hit like a rock or concrete or something, this will shear and not destroy your gearbox. And that's why they, on a lot of the newer snowblowers, they keep additional shear pins on them. So if you do happen to hit something, you can replace it quickly. All right, that's all done. So next thing we're going to do is button up the rest, put the other tin on it, and I think a quick wipe down, this thing should be good to go. Just got to remember how this thing went. Shouldn't be too difficult. Put this here over the throttle. That goes over the choke. Goes right there. I think that screws right in there. Yep. Where'd you go? There you are. It says, I can't read it anymore, but this was manufactured in the United States. Brillion, Wisconsin. USA made. It's nice. And then I found the sticker here where it came from Manus Power Mower. I tried to look it up, but it's no longer around. All right, so it's actually the next day. It got a little late last night, and I didn't want to run this at midnight and make my neighbors angry. So today we're going to do a full functionality test of it, see how it runs. All right, key on. It's the gear selector. Right now it's in neutral. Put the choke on full and try to start it. Let's go in the first gear. First works. Reverse works. Second. Third. Fourth. All right, I'd say overall it works pretty great. The only other thing is if you take this bottom plate off, there is a drive. Here, let me show you. Underneath here, if we flip this up, it's pretty heavy, so I'm not going to flip it up now. But if you go under there, there is a drive chain, and that needs to be lubricated. You also, there's a disc in there that slides back and forth to select which gears. You also want to check that out every once in a while to make sure that that's all good. This is, the gear selector on this is kind of bent. It does function, so let's see if we can just bend her down. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah, just squirt some lube on there, it should be good to go. Thanks for watching another episode. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by and wrenching with me. And if you're a subscriber, thanks for joining me again. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And we'll see you next week.